Hello and welcome to Billy Ho Sports. It's time for a Kentucky Derby 150 update. Today we're going to get you up to date on the most recent prep races that have run in the month of February so far. What we're going to do is we're going to dial it back to February 3rd to start off and look at the big weekend with the Robert B. Lewis, Southwest, Withers, and Holy Bull Stakes. And then we'll finish off with last week's epic, eventful upset of fierceness in the Sam F. Davis Stakes. So we'll just kind of do a recap and breakdown of those races and update any news that might be out. I believe Locked was pulled from the race with a temperature. I don't know of any other injuries as far as that goes, but maybe we'll have an idea on where some of these horses are headed to next. So we'll update you on that. So always remember to subscribe to the channel, smash that like button, set your notification bells. That's for you, so you won't miss a beat. And then finally, if you've got any hot takes so far this Derby trail, let me have them. Let's get started. So we are going to start with the effort that Nysos put in the Robert B. Lewis Stakes, Santa Anita racetrack on February 3rd. Going off as the overwhelming 1-9 favorite, Nysos remained perfect in a romp by over 7 lengths. Flavian Prat, it was kind of a neat little angle he took around the final turn. He almost took a straight shot across to cover. He must have cut off, I don't know how much ground, but really good move by him anyway. Serious burst down the stretch. That wrapped it up for him. He just kind of just hung in there and did his thing. Wind Me Up, the stablemate, won a second place duel with Scatify, John Sadler's horse, but neither horse was even close. Bob Baffert's barn ran 1-2, which is not shocking. Bob Baffert owns most all stakes races. People always knock him. He's a California guy. He only races in California. He's only any good in California. LASIK's this, whatever, all that kind of stuff. And I get it. People have opinions on trainers, and I respect that. But what is shocking is neither of these horses are currently eligible to run on the first Saturday of May, which is unfair to the owners and the connections, unfair to the horses, unfair to all the people in the barn, with the assistants and everything like that. I think it's really unfair. I think it's a black mark on Churchill Downs for the way they are handling this. They suspended him for 2 years. He served the 2 years, and then they just decided to arbitrarily add on a 3rd year for not saying he's sorry or for feeding some kind of narrative, he's throwing out the wrong narrative or something. I have yet to read anything that made sense to me why they added a 3rd year. Let's put it that way. Excuse me. Also, don't look now. Baffert has one of the favorites in the upcoming Kentucky Oaks, Kenza. So there you go there. And what part of removing all these top-ranked horses from the Oaks and or Derby is good for the sport? So those are facts that I just want people to consider. And this year's ownership, how about this? I don't believe anybody as of yet, and I don't think they're going to. They're standing behind Baffert. They're telling everybody, we're not sending our horses to Kentucky Derby. We're not trading trainers. We're not going to Tim Yuckteen to run our horses into the ground, like I try to tease, because he doesn't seem to do anything with Baffert's horses these last 2 years. But anyway, I mean, that's hashtag loyalty right there. So anyway, now we're going to get into it. We are jumping over to Oaklawn Park, Grade 3 Southwest. Brian Hernandez, great job by him, hustling Mystic Dan out fast from gate 10, and then he got tucked inside just before the first turn, not to get caught wide. Very good job there. Otto the Conqueror and Carbone set the pace on the sealed muddy track. Winstock was right there in 3rd and just past the half mile. Then he just quit. He was trying to run up on somebody and he couldn't get by, and it just looked like he just took his ball and went home. So I'm not really sure what the deal was there, but I was actually pleased with the effort Just Steele put in. He took the lead from the top two. In of course, those two, Conqueror and Carbone, both faltered. And then Just Steele took the lead at the top of the stretch, and then appeared in good position. But then here comes Mystic Dan on the rail, who just slid right through everybody and drew away to win comfortably. Just Steele was able to hold for the place as Liberal Arts had a late surge of his own. So excellent race. But I think next up for Mystic Dan, looking like the Grade 1 Arkansas Derby at Oaklawn March 30th. I think Just Steele would probably do that as well, seems like to me. So we might be looking at a rematch there. Winstock is going to lick his wounds after flopping in his first race away from Cali. Might see an extended layoff. Obviously, we just spoke on Baffert and is not on the Derby trail anyway. I don't know if they'll continue it. They'll have to reevaluate what happened to him. And then the next race plans are pending for Otto the Conqueror and Carbone after they both finished 6th and 7th, respectively. Now, let's move on up to New York. Aqueduct, Grade 3 Withers, mile and an eighth on a muddy sealed track. This was another February 3rd race. Seminole Chief broke out to the lead a little early with El Grande O and Canate tracking closely. By the half mile, I'm seeing El Grande start to impose his will. Seminole Chief backed off. 42-1 Canate. I'm surprised the odds were that high. I was kind of on Canate a little bit. I thought that it was a pretty good horse, but he continued to pressure El Grande O. Those two separated themselves into the 3/4 mark and had a few lengths ahead. But as they hit the stretch, Canate tired out. El Grande O was looking to just hold on and close it out. And then here come Uncle Heavy. I like that name, Uncle Heavy. And the favorite Lightline, Brad Cox's horse, were grinding late. This is what you always see at Aqueduct Racetrack. You'll see it at the Wood Memorial. It just looks like it takes a half an hour to close out the race, especially when there's an off track like that. When it's a fast track, it looks a lot better. But when it's off track, sloppy or muddy, it just really looks like they're just really just grinding out. So anyway, Uncle Heavy and Lightline grinding on an old Grande O. And then Uncle Heavy found another gear late and ultimately was able to get up by just a nose over El Grande O. Was a huge win for trainer Robert Reed and next Kentucky Derby prep on the horizon for Uncle Heavy could be the mile and an eighth Grade 2 Wood Memorial. I don't take anything away from Linda Rice and her who trains El Grande O. She was very pleased with the outcome. He ran a huge race, ran good enough to win, just got the wrong end of a head bob. So I venture to guess he heads the same direction. Not a lot of Derby winners coming out of New York and Wood Memorial and whatnot as of late. There used to be a lot. If you go look it up on the internet, it'll say Florida is the most, and then next up, like Florida Derby, and then the next up is like the Wood Memorial or New York. But it's been since like 2003 Funny Side since somebody out a horse from New York came away to win a Kentucky Derby. I'm sure there's been some good contenders, but not winners. So I like the way Brad Cox's Lightline ran well in his first stakes effort. He might appreciate more distance. So I think maybe Brad Cox, I believe Lightline prep or trains in Louisiana. So he may head back to Fairgrounds to prep for the Louisiana Derby. Excuse me, which is a mile and 3/16. Okay, we are going to head south to Gulfstream Park for the Grade 3 Holy Bull. Like I just discussed, Florida has become the go-to place to prep your Derby contenders. And why not? Sunny Florida. Looking back at my preview show, I was actually pretty spot on in some of my analysis on this race. So just a quick look at the clip. Basically, what I think I would actually Fierceness top choice, if he's not fully ready to go, could be vulnerable. Possible that another horse These are the horses I think are likely. Hades is the most interesting one. Number one, broke from post one in an eighth length victory, and jockey Paco Lopez did a good job of clearing space from the rail. If he could step up again, that Brisnet number in the hundreds could be enough. Now, Fierceness did have a rough break. Got banged around at the beginning of the race. They called it pinballed around a little bit and got caught wide too. But he was able to get free, and I think he benefited from the slow pace. So I think maybe things equaled out because they ran 50 plus for the opening half mile. So he got a brief lead at the 3/4 pole, but Hades, and that was the horse. If you listen to the clip, I was really high on as the one that could beat Fierceness coming from that one post. So Hades quickly took the lead back as they hit the stretch. Jockey Paco Lopez once again kind of drifted out from that inside one post, forcing Fierceness a little wider and created that extra space to get out into that good path. Good job by him, and he drew clear and took care of business. And then Fierceness seemed to tire out at the end to finish third. So easy 2 length score for Hades. Chad Brown's trains domestic product. He was rolling 6 wide late down the stretch, edged out Fierceness for second. Was a good effort. Inveiglet ran fourth behind Fierceness. Not too awful bad for him at long odds. Uh, Hades should point. Hades should point to the Florida Derby. I think most of these will, but I believe the connections reiterated that the Fountain of Youth was not enough time off, so they're just going to point him straight to the Florida Derby, which makes sense. I think out of these 3 preps, they're not doing like horses aren't doing 3 preps much anymore, like the traditional thing. So they're doing one of two of the three, I guess. So if you were to run, if you everybody wants to run Holy Bull, then you have your option to run it back and then take time off, or skip the Fountain of Youth and head straight to for the Florida Derby. But anyway, a similar course of that. But you can't rule out the Fountain of Youth for domestic product because maybe it is enough time. I mean, it's almost nearly a month. So, but he could also return to New York for the Wood Memorial, domestic product, that is. So we're going to remain in Florida for the last recap race and jump over to Tampa Bay Downs, which was last Saturday's Grade 3 Sam F. Davis. And it was kind of opposite weekend for me because I pretty much said on my preview show for the Sam F. Davis that I thought a long shot was going to win the race, or not long shot, a closer off the pace was going to win. I thought one of these closers was going to get it done. I was really high on Agate Road. I really thought he was going to get it done. But then again, I really thought San Francisco was going to win the Super Bowl. So if you watched my previous golf video, I did a little extra Super Bowl Sunday prediction. And I remember one of my commenters said that stick to golf, buddy, which stick to horse racing. But, I made a prediction. It's not like I'm saying bet the house on it. I bet a little bit on it. Anyway, I digress. So, like I said, last Saturday, Sam F. Davis thought it was going to go to a closer, but Paco Lopez, once again in the controls, he was riding No More Time, and he got off the colt aggressively out of the gate, went right to the lead, took the early command from change of command. I mentioned in a previous video, West Saratoga got hung out 4 wide into the backstretch, while Agate Road opted to drop all the way to last. So Agate Road didn't really show a whole lot of speed out of the gate, but he's stone cold closer and maybe just, I'm not sure if the surface change had anything to do with that or not. But No More Time went along very nicely through some swift opening fractions. And then rounding the turn for home was challenged by West Saratoga, but he was able to repel that advance easily. And then all he had to do was hold off on this late surge from Agate Road, who got into position, and which he was able to do so. Agate Road did close nicely for second. I was happy to see that. I'm hopeful that they keep on Agate Road on the Derby Trail, because I would like to see one more dirt race to see how he does. no more time. I think's looking at the March 9th Tampa Bay Derby. Possibly we see Agate Road and West Saratoga there as well. So anyway, that's going to wrap it up for this week's Derby update. I'm going to try to get out more, maybe weekly updates once we start to get more in depth. But this weekend's kind of slow. I'll probably come back in March with an update. So until then, we'll see you soon. Good luck this weekend. Thanks for saddling up.